everyone, I am Ashima and I welcome you back to the next class of vocabulary. As I've already promised in my previous class that after explaining you the concept, I will be solving a few previous year questions with you. Right? So let's just get started. And today, make sure that you read each and everything along with me so that we can solve the questions. Right? How will we go about it? हम कैसे इसको करने वाले हैं? I'll just give you a brief of it. I will show you a paragraph. I'll show you a slide and I've already underlined the words for you. I would want you to just pause the video there, or I will give you a few pauses in between and you will be thinking if you already know the meaning of those underlined words, right? They're not the words which are asked in the questions, but these are words which are not asked but are important in order to understand the meaning of the text, right? All right, let's just start. So this is the first passage, and here we are talking about A Scandal in Bohemia by Arthur Conan Doyle, right? This is an extract from this particular book, right? So let's just read. I rang the doorbell and was shown up to the chamber which had formerly been in part my room. With hardly a word spoken, Sherlock Holmes waved me to an armchair. Then he stood before the fire and looked me over in his singular introspective fashion. What do we mean by introspect? Right? Then, Watson, you did not tell me that you intended to go into harness, right? Then, how do you know? I see it, I deduced it. What is the meaning of deduce? How do I know that you have been getting yourself very wet lately and that you have a most clumsy and careless servant girl? My dear Holmes, said I, this is too much. It is true that I had a country walk on Thursday and came home in a dreadful mess. But as I have changed my clothes, I can't imagine how you deduce it. As to Mary Jane, she is incorrigible, but there again I fail to see how you work it out. Right? It is simplicity itself, said he. My eyes tell me that on the inside of your left shoe, just where the firelight strikes, the leather is scored by 6 almost parallel cuts, right? Obviously, they have been caused by someone who has very carelessly scarred around the edges of the sole in order to remove crusted mud from it, right? Hence, you see my double deduction that you had been out in a vile weather. What is the meaning of vile? And that you had particularly malignant boot-slitting specimen of the London slavery. Okay, so I'll keep the slide open for you guys here, right? And I would want you to see which all meanings do you already know, right? I'll give you time for this. You will be seeing the meanings and you will be letting me know whether you know the meanings or not, right? Alright, as I have already given you some time, let's just see what all can you understand from these words. I'll just type down the meaning of all these words here, right? And we'll see if we are able to understand them or not. What is the meaning of introspective fashion? What is the meaning of introspect? Anyone who can comment down in the comment section below? See, the word introspection basically means when one person is able to understand one's own feelings and emotions. That is introspective, right? What is the meaning of go into harness? That Watson, you did not tell me that you intended to go into harness. So this seems like a phrase, right? Go into harness means go into your regular routine. Right? Go into your regular routine, right? I see it, I deduced it. What do we mean by deduce? Deduce is something which is not directly said to someone, but it is apprehended or understood, right? Now, who is clumsy? Clumsy is a person who is very careless, who keeps on falling, right? That person is said to be clumsy, right? What is the meaning of dreadful? Dreadful means frightening, right? Then, what is incorrigible? The literal meaning of incorrigible is something that cannot be corrected, right? Something that cannot be corrected. Now, next thing, what do we mean by crusted? Crusted here means a thin layer of mud is seen on a shoe, right? And what is a vile weather? Vile means very unpleasant. Unpleasant weather, right? What do we mean by malignant? Malignant? Malign. Malign means something bad, really terrible, right? Malignant boot slitting specimen. Specimen means? Specimen is a? What is specimen? It is an evidence? Or a sample of something? Sample of the London slavery, right? Now, moving ahead. In fiction, detectives like Holmes are usually portrayed as people with exceptionally brilliant minds. They possess the rare skill to see and analyze what ordinary people can't. They have incredible abilities to infer, deduce, induce, and conclude, right? Then there is G.K. Chesterton, fictional Catholic priest, Father Brown, who relies on their extraordinary power of sympathy and empathy. Okay. That enable him to imagine and feel as criminals do. He explains, I had thought out exactly how a thing like that could be done and in what style or state of mind a man could really do it. And when I was quite sure that I felt exactly like the murderer myself, of course, I knew who he was. Sherlock finds the criminal by starting from the outside. He relies on science, experimental methods, and deduction. On the contrary, Father Brown uses varied psychological experiences learned from those who make confessions of crime to him. What is a confession? What is a confession? Let's see. Right? He relies on the introspection, intuition, and empathy. One question which I have for everyone: what is the difference between sympathy and empathy? What is the meaning of? What is the difference between deduction or what is the meaning of deduce and induce? What is the difference between this? Deduce and induce, right? Then created by writer like Agatha Christie, right? Her Belgian detective Hercule Poirot, and a storyteller who draws information from the stories that others tell. He patiently listens to numerous accounts of what happened, where it happened, and how it happened. He listens for credibility and ambiguity. Ambiguity means something which is unclear, right? He identifies why and how the pieces of the jigsaw don't fit together. Ultimately, he uncovers the truth. So here you have like 3-4 words: intuition, empathy, sympathy, right? Include. Wait, I'll just write down the words here. Confession, intuition. Intuition, everybody knows the meaning of intuition, right? So I'm not writing it down here, right? Empathy, sympathy, I've already written. So all these are the words which you need to know the meanings of, right? Because they are a part of the text. Look at the screen and see. Alright, so I guess you have already read it. So now what is the meaning of sympathy and what is the meaning of empathy? See, you can remember it like this. Sim means when you are trying to understand what is the other's feeling, right? what is the other person's feeling. Right? And what is empathy? Empathy means when you feel the similar thing is going on with you. Right? That is what empathy means. Right? What is the meaning of deduce? Deduce is another word for conclude. Right? And what is the meaning of induce? Induce means when you are trying to persuade the other person or find something else. Persuade. Right? Is this clear? Now, we have the main question for us. These were all the words which were important for you in the entire text. Let's just see what is the question for us here. Right? So the question for us is that so the word incorrigible is the antonym of what? What do we mean by antonym? Opposite of which word? What is the meaning of incorrigible? I've already told you guys, something that cannot be corrected. Right? So now what is the meaning of habitual? What is the meaning of unperformable? Incurable? Think about it. Alright, let's just discuss it quickly. Now, habitual means something which is a habit and which is done daily, right? Which is often repeated, right? Unperformable means something that cannot be performed. Repentant means remorseful or feeling sorry about something, right? And what is the meaning of incurable? Something that cannot be cured, right? So now let's just see what is the meaning of cured. Cured means bringing back to the original position, right? That means correcting. So one thing that we are clear of, that incurable cannot be the antonym because it is the synonym of the word, right? Habitual is also not the antonym because it is nowhere related to the word incorrigible, right? Then unperformable is also not related to it, so we are left with only one word, which is repentant, which is the direct antonym of it, because unrepentant is a synonym of the word and of incorrigible, and here as we are given repentant, it becomes the antonym. I hope this is clear. I hope this is clear to all of you. Now, moving ahead to the next passage. So since the worldwide inoculation process is going strong, vaccine diplomacy. So here we understand the main idea, right? And most of the students who know how to select a passage for themselves, you need to understand that whenever you are trying to find the perfect passage for yourself to solve, you always see which is the most relatable passage. Right? And any passage which actually talks about something which you have experienced becomes more relatable to you. Right? So this passage is again relatable for all of us because we've all seen this, something related to vaccine, we've all seen something related to vaccine diplomacy, and this is what the text is talking about. So since the worldwide inoculation process is going strong, vaccine diplomacy has become a hot topic. What is a hot topic? Hot topic is something which is in trend, which is trending these days, right? So in their quest for ensuring vaccine security, a report by the New York Times based on the data on vaccine contracts compiled by Duke University shows that the advance purchase contracts made by some advanced countries for potential vaccines would vaccinate their population many times. The European Union 2 times, the United States and the United Kingdom 4 times, and Canada 6 times. The expectation that an early vaccination will bring back normalcy and a required push to economic growth fueled many advanced countries to engage in vaccine battles. Right? So the argument of public good and global cooperation have gone out of the window now. So while advanced countries have turned their back onto the need of poor countries to access COVID-19 vaccines, India has displayed empathy to their needs, right? India has taken a position that a significant percentage of the approved doses will be permitted for exports. So now here they are talking about vaccine diplomacy, wherein most of the developed nations, they have kept the stock for their population, their citizens, and they have actually given up, or they are not ready to share their vaccines with the other countries or the needy countries, right? But India on the other hand has kept, due to empathy and out of empathy, India has kept a share for the exports as well, right? Now, moving ahead, while its exports to neighbor countries will be under grant mode, initial shipment of vaccines to least developed countries will be free of cost. And shipments of vaccines from India have already started reaching different parts of the developing world. While India is in its first phase of vaccination to cover healthcare workers, exporters from India are helping other countries also in initiating phase 1 of their vaccination program. A gesture well appreciated globally. In a democracy, one can expect the backlash of sending vaccines abroad without vaccinating its population. Now, very important point here that they've mentioned, that in a democracy wherein the people are so important, right? It is government, democracy is government for the people and by the people, and in a democracy, when you have made this decision that without even vaccinating your own population, you're going to send some chunk of it as exports to the other nation to help the other nation, that becomes a big question, right? So now, here, that is why it is facing a backlash. Then, nevertheless, India's approach only reinforces the need of having coordinated global efforts in bringing COVID-19 under control. This response manifests India's unstinted commitment to global development and has consolidated its name as the world's pharmacy. Right? Consolidated means strengthened, right? Unstinted means unquestionable, right? Commitment. Now, the attitude of India towards vaccinating the populations in the poorer countries has generated discussion in the richer countries about the necessity for more proactive measures to roll out vaccines to the developing nations. Right? I guess the passage was quite easy. Right? The passage was quite easy, and the words used and the vocabulary used was quite moderate. Right? Now, the term inoculation process as used in the passage, what do we mean? No doubt, whatever inoculation may mean, you have to tell me the contextual meaning of the word, right? Let's just see. Read and tell me the answer. What will be the answer? I will really appreciate the students. See, I will really appreciate the students who will read along with me and will type down the answers in the chat box, right? Read it. All right. Let's just see. So we have already read it. Let me explain you the first sentence. Since the worldwide inoculation process is going strong, vaccine diplomacy has become a hot topic in their quest of ensuring vaccine security. Now see, in the next line, in the next sentence, after using this word, they have clearly mentioned that in the quest for ensuring vaccine security, right, which means that they were ensuring that the vaccine should be enough for their people, right? Now, let's just go to the question. What is the usage of inoculation process as per the passage? Let's just see the options. Production and distribution of vaccines, global struggle for vaccines, pharmaceutical production of vaccines, and artificially inducing immunity. The answer here is artificially inducing immunity, right? Most of you will get confused in the first one and in the last one. Even in the C option also you can get confused. But here you have to be very clear that they are talking about inoculation process. Inoculation means wherein you are inducing immunity in the people, right? Hence, this is what it means. I hope this is clear to everyone. Now, let's just move ahead to the next question. Next passage. following the transition of democracy with the inauguration of Nelson Mandela as president in 1994, South America was faced with the task of dealing with its past as well as undertaking some action to deal with structural social injustice. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, that is the TRC, heralded as the most ambitious and organized attempt to deal with crimes of a past regime. Regime means a rule, right? A concept of truth came into force on the 19th July 1995 in South America, emerging as a political strategy to acknowledge past sufferings while promoting a future based on the concerns of social justice, the rule of law, and reconciliation. The Commission has struggled to fulfill its objectives. Although the TRC incorporated these broader concerns into the mandate of its 3 subcommittees, they were disregarded in practice. These subcommittees, which reflected concerns of the human rights violations, amnesty, and reparation and rehabilitation, were not coupled with some form of social transformation. I'm just underlining the words which you have to tell me the meanings of, right? Next, the public transition from apartheid, established through a negotiated settlement rather than a revolutionary process, framed the Commission's powers. Shaped by the historical context of particular transition, the TRC was careful not to rock the structural boat. Rather than pursuing truth and justice as an integrated feature of social transformation, the commissioners and to a greater extent the government of South America maintained an agenda that avoided a challenge to the status quo. Right? A focus on the restorative justice was taken by the Commission with an emphasis placed on mechanism to restore victims and survivors through reparation, right? Reparation policy and state-led acknowledgement of suffering and a condemnation, together with the transformation of the system that implemented such widespread forms of abuse. Whew, that's enough for me to read, right? But you tell me the meanings of these 2 words which are underlined here. Type down in the comment section. Be quick. Alright. So what is the meaning of heralded? Heralded means showcasing something, right? Or marking something as the most ambitious and organized. What is the meaning of reconciliation? Reconciliation means restoring the friendly relations, right? Now, what is the meaning of amnesty, repatriation, and reparation and rehabilitation, apartheid and status quo? This is what you have to tell me. Okay, so let us see. Amnesty basically means pardon, right? Now, what does reparation mean? Reparation means resolution. Rehabilitation means bringing back the person or the party to the original position, right? What does apartheid mean? The system of discrimination against the black, right? In the countries abroad, right? Then what do we mean by status quo? Status quo means in the same situation or in the existing situation, right? Existing situation. Got it? This is what status quo means. What do we mean by condemnation? Condemnation means disapproval. Right? Now, let us see. Apartheid we've already done. What do we mean by operation? Operation mean? What do we mean by operation? Operation means dabana kisi ko, apne se kam samajhna, right? This is what operation is. So now the question is, the status quo as asked in the passage means previously popular opinion, already existing condition, strategy of government. Following a set agenda. What will you answer here? The answer will be already existing condition. I hope this is clear to everyone. Now next, what does amnesty mean in the context of the passage? Severe punishment, bringing legal action, arrest warrants, or official pardons. As I've already said, it means official pardon, right? I hope this is clear to everyone. Let's just come to the next question. In the domain of education, the current pandemic has made three things clear. It has proved beyond any doubt that we need schools, irrespective of which country we talk about. Students and parents want schools to open and function in the full glory with appropriate precautions, right? So we have understood, again, we are talking about the pandemic, right? Secondly, it has shown that first thing first, people and the students, they want schools to open up with precautions. This is the first point that they are discussing. Next, it has shown that technology may prove to be useful in education if it is employed thoughtfully. Employed means if it is used thoughtfully, right? Next, random surfing of the net may lead to a collection of pieces of information that do not add up to any meaning. As Noam Chomsky says, you cannot pursue any kind of inquiry without a relatively clear framework that is directing you to search and helping you to choose what is significant and what is not. Moreover, there cannot be any hegemonic techno-managerial solution to the linguistic and cultural heterogeneity of students. Technology must help us to respect individual, peer group and community needs and aspirations. What do we mean by hegemonic? Hegemonic means dominant, right? Dominant. Just go through it. Just go through this passage because a question will be asked from here, right? A question is already marked. It is already colored, highlighted in red. Okay, red. Everyone has read it once. Alright, let us see. What do we mean by heterogeneity? Heterogeneity is the difference, right? The variance. Variance is heterogeneity. Variance, right? So thirdly, convergence of the efforts of the public. Convergence means the mixing up or the consolidated efforts of the public, civil society and private enterprises will have to take place if we wish technology to meaningfully mediate between school and some particularly among the unprivileged groups. Which are the unprivileged groups? Unprivileged groups are the weaker sections or the people who do not have that much resources, right? Trivialized means reduced. Cannot be reduced in any way or cannot be ignored in any way, right? Then perpetuate and quantum jumps in knowledge. Quantum jumps means manifold jumps in knowledge, right? There are also people who trivialize schools for the kind of investment they demand in terms of space, building, teachers, libraries and labs and other infrastructure. What do we mean by nostalgically? Nostalgically means when you remember something. Nostalgia is when you remember something of the past, right? Holistically means with an all-round view, right? Now, symbiotic relationship. Let's just see, this is something of importance for us. It is important to see school holistically. It is not a set of atomic items of rooms, library, assembly halls, canteen and playgrounds. It is all of these but in a symbiotic relationship with each other, the contours of which are often far too obvious and often simply mysterious. Now the question is this: the expression linguistic and cultural heterogeneity as used in the passage means what? And the expression symbiotic relationship as used in the passage means what? I guess the first one is quite clear for you all. Okay, so let's just discuss the answer quickly. So here it simply means, as I already told you, heterogeneity means diversity or variance. So it will be C, right? And now the expression symbiotic relationship as used in the passage means C, that is mutually beneficial relationship. Symbiotic itself means mutually beneficial, right? Wherein the benefits are reaped by both the parties. Now, let's just move to the next passage. Now, wash your hands. Again, one more passage on the pandemic. Today we are discussing quite a lot on COVID-19 again, right? Who's an obstetrician? Who's an obstetrician? What do we mean by swamping? What are corpses? What is a mortuary? And what is a hypothesis? Right? Note down these words. I want all of you to answer in the chat box the meaning of all these words. what is an obstetrician, and you have to tell me the difference between, the question of the day is difference between obstetrician and an ophthalmologist. Right? Obstetrician and ophthalmologist. I want you guys to answer this. This is the question of the day. And all those who will answer this will have to type down in the chat box. Okay, so this is the question of the day. These are the words which you have to type down the meanings in the chat box itself. And I will give you one more question which will be your doubt. Which will be your question for today. And the question for you is this. The word relentlessly in the passage can be best replaced by the word what? Right? So you basically have to replace. That is, as I told you in the previous class, you have to tell me which word fits in here. Right? This is what you have to do. This is that kind of a question. And these are the options for you. Please take a look at the options. Right? These are the options. And where it is used, I'll just show it to you. It is used here. So take a look at this also. I shall be discussing it in the next class. So please be careful. Take a screenshot of it, or please read this and try and answer the question in the chat box itself. I hope everybody has taken a screenshot and you guys will read this and then you will answer the question. Right? This is the question for you guys. This is the question for you guys. Right? Take a screenshot and try to answer this question as well. Okay, I guess I have given enough time. So now I will be discussing this question with you guys in the next class. Apart from this question, which is your homework, you also have to tell me the difference between obstetrician and an ophthalmologist. That is also a part of your homework for today. Right? I hope everything is clear to you. I hope you've understood how we approach the passages, right? And how we solve vocabulary questions, right? So with this, we've come to the end of the class. If you have any doubts, please comment down in the comment section below. I'll reach out to you, and please don't forget to do your homework, right? So with this, we've come to the end of the class, and I'll see you in the next class. Thank you so much and take care.